but no any.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's live agro-commodities. Actually, sorry, I'm used to the live session that we normally have. So, okay. All right. So let's get started. All right. So today we're going to be looking at briefly, or not briefly, actually, we're going to be looking at in depth what how agro-commodities has actually been, and let's see how far we'll be able to go for today. All right. And okay, sorry, I just needed to do something, and just to make sure that everyone is mute. Okay, perfect. All right. So now we're going to be looking at in depth what agro-commodity really is all about, and how you can actually trade it. All right, and have a couple of persons that that you love trading on agro, but then you don't really know how to trade it all the time, or most times, even the times we used to have sessions on, okay, take this one, and this is what you should do in this case. Most of you don't really know how to go about it. And so that's actually how this particular meeting is organized, to help you get all those informations, and make sure that every single thing is at least you get every one of them ready. All right. Okay. So today we're going to be looking at for not just a single instrument. We're going to be looking at for corn. We're going to be looking at for wheat. We're going to be looking at for soybean, for millets, for number of them. Right. And after that, we're also going to be looking at for how do you really trade on them? How are they traded? Okay. We'll look at how they are traded. Then after that, we can now consider the strategy that you're going to be using to trade it, because of course, you know, the strategies are very much important. Once you understand the strategies and how they are being traded, of course, that would actually make it much more easier for you to handle. All right. So we're going to be looking at some strategies that would definitely work, both in terms of the gap closure strategy, and of course the 2:30 p.m. strategy and the likes. Okay. So these are the things we're going to be looking at. Just a second, please. I want to do something. Please just give me a minute. I want to just fix up something so that we'll have a seamless time. Okay. All right. let's go ahead. I just needed to fix up something, sorry. And to make sure that we actually have a much more quiet session and much easier. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen and let's see how. Some people are already saying they can't see anything, but then it is fine because you're going to start hearing something very, very soon, which I think you are hearing something now. Okay, I just needed to get something cleared up so that we'll be having a very much quiet time and session. Okay, so I believe you can hear something now. And okay, so let's get started. Okay, now going forward, we're going to be looking at for how do we trade on agro-commodities and what are the profitability? How come agro-commodity is actually very important? Why is it very much important? Why is every trader always talking about agro-commodities and how come they are this profitable? Does it mean other instruments are not that profitable? Now the answer is no. Other instruments are profitable. But then when you look at agro-commodities, you would know that you're actually looking at something that you can easily relate with. All right, agro-commodity is something that you can easily relate with and know exactly how it is done. And of course, you can easily get what you want. The profitability index is high, right? So I opened this particular website because that is one of the websites we're going to be using out for today. And this is actually the websites we're going to be using out to check out what is happening in the agro market, and also to know, okay, if we're going to be trading on this thing, this is how we're going to be trading it, and this is the time we're going to be trading it. So first of all, going to what agro-commodity is. Agro-commodity is basically some of the most profitable. Let me not even say some of the most. It's actually the most profitable instrument that you have in the financial market. All right, it is the most profitable instrument that you have in the financial market. Okay, and you already know these are commodities that you can use to either produce other commodities or other goods, or you can use them as a final material. Okay, and we have different types of agro commodities. We're looking at for corn. Yes, corn, the same agbado, you know. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, corn. We have wheat, all right? We have soya bean, okay? We have copper. We have cocoa. Copper is not actually supposed to be agro-commodity, so pardon me, I actually just slipped out of my mouth because I traded that this morning. All right, but we have cocoa, we have millet. Do you understand? These are some of the instruments that we have on our database that you can trade on. And these instruments are very much profitable. Do you understand? When you're looking at for profitability, when you're talking about this instrument, sugar, of course, sugar is there. Okay, sugar is there, wheat is there. I've already mentioned wheat. All right, these are some of the instruments that you can actually trade, and you'll be glad that you did. You can trade on coffee. Now, I have a client that loves trading on agro commodities, not really because he just wants to trade them, but because he already has an in-depth knowledge about how agro commodities really work. All right, he has a full understanding of how agro commodities is because he has traded on it before. All right, he actually has a farm, okay, where he plants corn and the rest of them. So he always check the market prices. He always check. He knows the dynamics. He knows the things that affect these instruments. So he is very good at that. Okay, couple of other of other clients that deal on rice. A lot of them will still want to trade on rice because they know when there is scarcity of rice. They know when there is a new grain of rice coming out. They know all these things. So the same thing that you have, your knowledge, your normal knowledge of the market is also exactly what we're having here.
because it's something that affects your normal market. Let's say the inflation, the season, the let's say the nature of grain that you have. These are exactly the same thing that affect these agro-commodities in the financial market. So there is no difference. Just the same way that you said, okay, I want to trade on gold, all right, but you don't really have full understanding about gold. If you don't, then you can learn it. But if you have understanding about how gold really works before now, it will even give you an edge. It will give you better opportunity to really know how the markets really work. Do you understand? So that is what we're looking out for. All right. And that is actually why we so much preach on this, because most of us, we know at least little information on, or have little knowledge about how agricultural products behave and the times. So these are some of the things that help us to actually have a very good trading outcome. But first of all, let me just share my screen. Let me share my slide actually. Let's just go through the slide first, then before we come back to this part. Okay. Now, looking at if you check my screen right now, you see that we have a couple of agro-commodities that are here. We have corn, we have wheat, we have coffee. We also have soybean, of course. But then, of course, soybean is something we're going to be looking out for later on. All right. But on my chart here, you will not see soybean. But definitely, when we'll start looking at the news in general, we're going to be seeing soybean. All right. Now, why is agro-commodity very important? Why is it very much important? We have it because of profitability. Agro-commodities is one of the most profitable instruments. The corn, the wheat, the coffee you're seeing there, these are some of the most profitable instruments. Do you understand? So agro-commodities is profitable. Now we have another one. It is less volatile. Agro-commodity is less volatile. Okay. If you feel that DE30 is volatile or US 2000 is volatile, then exactly what they are. But then looking at agro-commodities, they are less volatile, but they are the most profitable. It's just like, okay, giving an example of someone cutting grass with let's say with machine, and then the other one cutting it with his hand, of course with a cutlass. All right, you will definitely know that the person cutting with machine is going to cover a larger scale, but then the person with hand would definitely not cover a larger scale within the same time. But then what if something is enhanced? The person that is now cutting with hand, all right, is making more money than the person that is cutting with machine. In as much as you are covering a larger ground within the same minute than the person that is using hand. But then the person that is using hand is making more money than you. So that is the case of the agro-commodities and DE30. All right. DE30 might be more volatile. Yes, they might move faster than agro-commodities, but then agro-commodities moving slower makes more money than all these other instruments. All right. So that is what we're talking about. It is less volatile, but it's very much profitable. Of course, it has a global value. Everybody knows about corn. Everybody knows about wheat. Everybody knows about soybean. Everybody knows about cocoa and coffee. All right. These are instruments. You can easily relate with them. So they have a global value. Then it can easily be predicted. Once you know the news that affect agro-commodities, of course, you know the news that affect agriculture, don't you? First of all, agriculture is a seasonal product. So that is the news already. So this is the season for corn. Of course, most of us, especially some of us that stay around this market areas, you can easily see where they are roasting corn. At the beginning of time, when they started coming in, you discover that one cob, they will be telling you 300, 400, at least the big ones. But right now, you can actually get them for 100 naira. Why? Because the price has reduced. In fact, somebody can even dash you corn. Like I think on Saturday, I had a neighbor of mine that just came and said, okay, that she went to farm and the one she got was really pretty much. And of course, I got some free. But if it is before, when it started coming out newly, nobody will give you that kind of thing because it was scarce. Do you understand? But now somebody can even dash you. You might even buy two, they will give you one for free. Why? Because it's more. This is the season. All right. So I am saying that to say this. When you are looking at the season, these agro-commodities are seasonal products. So during the season, the prices are lower. So the prices of these agro-commodities fall. But when you go out of the season, you start looking at the prices going high. So that is the seasonal products we're talking about. Then, of course, it can easily be predicted. You can easily know the direction of the market. All right. So that is exactly what agro-commodities is. All right. I already told you some of the things that affect agro-commodities. I told you that the first one is season. They are seasonal products. Then second one is inflation. Inflation affects agro-commodities. Inflation affects agro-commodities. Right? What is inflation? Inflation is a consistent rise in the prices of goods and services. Right? So if that is inflation, if that is what inflation is all about, it means that inflation can also affect the prices of these particular goods. So that's why during the inflation period, you might see the prices going higher. Now, the next one is weather. All right, weather actually affects. I don't know how many of you actually have stayed in riverine areas. All right, I know growing up, stayed in Delta State. All right, and then some of those villages that they plant these agro-commodities like corn and cassava and the rest of them. There is some time that they actually had a very terrible flooding. All right, they had a terrible flooding, and the flood actually destroyed a lot of their farms. Do you know that period? This particular, in fact, most agricultural produce were very much expensive. Why? Because during the season, we're not having much of them. I won't forget that period because what we normally buy, we used to go to those village markets and buy a very in bulk and then use it. Especially all those potato, corn, and the rest of them. But when I got there, what we were now seeing, it was something else. All right, around that Bomodi area. I don't know how many of you are very used to Delta State. But I said that to say this: when you have a favorable weather, you're going to be having greater yield. And when you have a greater yield, you're going to be having the prices of this particular instrument come down. But when you don't have a good weather, then the prices definitely will go up. So these are the things that you should be monitoring when you're reading news. Any news that tell you, oh, okay, this particular country is having this kind of weather, and you know that those countries produce agro-commodities, know that this is what I'm going to be expecting in agro-commodity. Now, I'm saying all this, I'm explaining every single thing so that you know how to read the news. And trust me, agro-commodities is more of fundamental instrument than technical. If you can understand the fundamental aspects of agro-commodity, you can make a lot of money from it. If you can understand the fundamentals behind it, you can make a lot of money. All right. Just like I said, I used some areas in Delta State as an example of how during the period where the weather wasn't very much friendly, all right, most of their goods were destroyed. And of course, that actually increased their prices. Okay. The same way, if a particular country that produces this particular instrument, if they're not having a good weather, definitely you're not going to be having a good produce. Next is improved seedling. Now, this is actually based on the tech aspect of it, the scientific aspect of it. There are some scientifically modified seeds that can, maybe let's say 1 tree of corn can actually produce up to 5 or 7. But on the normal, it might just produce only 1 or 2. But when you have all those scientifically modified seeds, you could see them having about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are the ones we're talking about. So when you have an improved seedling, you could actually have a greater yield. All right. Next is, of course, the website you're going to be looking at, but I'm going to just jump it because I know we're talking about it in full. All right. So now the opening time of this particular instrument, the agro-commodities opens by 1:05 a.m. Now, I will need you to ignore this particular one because this is actually the opening time as at when we had in Nigeria, we call it longer days and shorter night, but then it's called daylight savings. All right, during the daylight savings, this is actually the timing we had. Okay, that was the entry position. Sorry, that's the opening times. But right now, the opening time of this instrument is 1:05 a.m. That is early in the morning, 1:05 a.m. That is when it opens. Then it closes by 1:45 p.m. It opens by 1:05 a.m. and then closes by 1:45 p.m. for the afternoon. Then it opens again by 2:35. Of course, some of you that have been following us on our afternoon sessions, you would have heard us saying, okay, this is the time the Agro-Commodities is going to be opening. That's around 2:35. So that is the next opening session, and it opens till around 7 o'clock before closing. So do you understand? It opens by 1:05 a.m. Closes, the first closing is by 1:45 p.m. All right. Then the second opening time is 2:35, and then the second closing time is 7 p.m. I hope you got that. So ignore this. Okay, let me just write it down here. Okay, maybe after this I'll just correct that. But I hope you got the timing. All right. Now, why do we always talk about these instruments? This is actually the most important part of this. That is the profitability. The most profitable instrument that we have on our platform is coffee. Coffee is actually the most profitable. Now, coffee on 0.01, 1 pip movement on 0.01 on coffee will make you about 8,000 naira, 8,300 actually. All right, it will make you about 8,300. So it means that if you're trading on 0.1, you know that 0.1, you have to multiply by 10. It's going to be giving you around 83,000 naira, right? And if you're now moving into the next one, which is about one standard lot, is going to be giving you about 831,000. Just imagine one particular instrument making you about 831,000 naira on 1 pip. 1 pip is just like, you know, when you're looking at the wall clock. All right, that second hand. All right, you know, you have the second hand that always moves. All right, that second hand, that is actually as small as that movement is. It can actually be like 1 pip. So if you can capture that kind of movement or 1 pip on this particular instrument, on coffee, on one standard lot, you are going home that day with about 831,000 naira. But before you can trade on this particular instrument, with this, especially coffee, before you can trade on coffee on one standard lot, please make sure that you have enough money in your account. Exactly, if you want to make, if you want to do a business that you're going to be getting about 831,000 naira in a minute or in a second, of course, you should know how much you're going to be investing in that. So please, if you don't have enough money, don't trade on coffee. But even if you want to trade on it, use a very small lot size. That is very much important. Don't use a very big lot size when you want to trade on coffee. Use a very moderate lot size. But then, of course, one of my favorites, you have wheat there. Wheat on 0.01 makes you about 1,662 naira. 1,662 naira. That is just on 1 pip. Do you know that 1 pip on Euro USD on 0.01 is just about 82 naira? So just imagine comparing 1 pip on 0.01 on Euro USD, which makes it about 82 naira, thereabout. It's not so specific. All right. And then another one that makes you about 1,662 naira. Which one will you prefer? All right, but then your preference should be based on the amount you have in your account. All right. Of course, you have another one. Corn is also my favorite. Then you have corn that makes you about 2,000 naira, 2,078 naira, just for 1 pip. I hope you understand when I say 1 pip, I really hope you understand what I'm talking about. On 0.01, which is the micro lot, the smallest lot size. So when you now want to trade on 0.1, you're making about 20,000 naira, 20,700 just on corn. Do you understand? And just imagine now you now decide to trade it on one standard lot. You're going to be making nothing less than 207,000 naira on one standard lot on this particular instrument. In fact, the highest money I've made, the highest profits I've made in my journey in the financial market is from coffee. I won't tell you the exact details, but some of you that are my clients should have already known. All right, because I know I've talked about it during some of my personal meetings with my clients. All right, but then this is actually one of the highest profits I've made from coffee. Sorry, from corn rather. But you also have instruments like cocoa. Yeah, of course, you can actually decide to trade on cocoa. If you don't have enough money and you're looking for agro-commodity to trade on, yeah, cocoa is there for you. All right, cocoa is there for you. Cocoa gives you about 41 naira for 1 pip, and then on 0.01, then 0.1 gives you about 410 naira, and of course 0.0 one standard lot gives you about 4,100 naira. That's 4,100. So these are actually an instrument that may be recommended for low budgets that want to trade on agro commodities. Yeah, of course, I understand what you're saying, but then when I said that, people have actually had one-on-one contact with. All right. So okay, so pardon me on that. He said, is the price fixed? Now, this is actually a steady amount that you can actually make. Of course, these are like the profitability index. Just like when you say, okay, I'm going to the market to get this, and this is the amount they sell it. Of course, this is actually the amount you're going to be making once you're getting one standard lot on them. Do you understand? I think I'm going to like this person's message, actually. Yes, I have to like it. All right. Is the price fixed? Yes, the prices are fixed. All right. These are the fixed amounts that you can actually make on if you're using any of these lot sizes. I remember some of the time that we were taking afternoon session, and I'll be like, okay, if you're taking on this one, don't stay long. Just 1 pip or 2 pips on this should have made you some money. Remember, I used to say that. Now, this is actually the reason why I said all that. Because I believe that 1 pip on a good lot size on this particular instrument should not give you anything less than the amount I actually have in mind. Please also talk the tone too. I don't really get that. If you can just make it clearer, is it like the opposite of the? Of course, I'm going to talk about if that is actually what you mean, but if you could just clarify a little bit. All right. Does it vary with deposit amount? No, it doesn't vary with deposit amount. But the only thing that you should know is that if you don't have enough money, don't do that, because in as much as is this profitable, it can also be very scary. Do you understand? Like they said, now something sweet pass through the key. All right. In as much as agro-commodity can make you some really good amount of money, if you're not careful, that is where you now get it wrong. Now, I will answer the last question, but let me just finish up this one I'm answering first. So, for example, I have a trade I want to take, and I'm using 0.01 on it, and I'm making 4,000 naira, and someone is telling me that, okay, you can actually make up to 50K on that same trade. All right. And I'm hoping that, okay, let me just get to 20,000 naira, and then the market finally reverses against me. Do you understand? But what if I can easily just use 0.1 or even one standard lot, and I'm taking only 1 pip? Do you know the reason why people that have more money tend to make more profit? All right. It's because you don't need to wait for your trade to get to a very large point. Unless if you're a swing trader. If you're a swing trader, you can actually do that. Like I actually have a client that is a very good swing trader. All right. I might not mention his name here, but then if he's here, he should know I'm actually this man. He does it like he trades only on corn and wheat. He trades only on corn and wheat. And like if you see him, what he does is that he just waits for once wheat gets to a particular high point, he will read that go take out the news. Okay, the news is in favor of this one. He enters a trade and then allows it to run for. Just imagine some of the trades. I really wish I could share some of his trade results. I really wish I could share that, but I didn't take permission from him, so I won't be able to do that. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. With the amount he has in his account, maybe next week when we're having this meeting, I will just ask him to give me a screenshot of some of his trades that he's going to be having this week. I'll share it with you. All right. He only trades on wheat and corn. Do you understand? If you want to take up any other trade, he takes it on maybe US 2000, the biggest instrument that you have, but then he keeps on making profit back to back. How come? Because you don't need to use a very big lot size if you want your trade to last for a longer time. But if you just want to enter and come out, then you can use a big lot size. All right. If you want to enter US, let's say corn from this point, from a resistance to a support, or from a support to a resistance, you don't have reason using a big lot size. Use a small lot size and take that kind of trade, since you know it's going to stay for a longer time. But if you want to take up a trade on agro-commodities and you just want to enter and come out, then that point you can actually use a bigger lot size. I hope you understand that. So with a bigger lot size, don't stay long. Don't. You're only targeting 2 pips, 3 pips maximum. But if you're using a very small lot size and you want to stay longer in the market, okay, you see that, oh, maybe you've done your analysis and you feel this thing is going to move from here to that point. Fine, but please use a very small lot size. And that is also applicable to any other trade that you want to do. Okay, so I believe I should have answered that question from Mr. Bucci. Okay, does it vary with deposit amount? It does not vary with deposit amount, actually. It doesn't vary with deposit amount. But the only thing that can vary with deposit amount is the lot size you're going to be using. The bigger the lot, the bigger the amount you have, of course, the more lots that are open for you to trade with. Do you understand? The more the deposit you have, the more likely you're going to be using a bigger lot size. But remember, I said, even though you have a very big amount in your account and you want to have a trade that is going to stay for a longer time, please don't use a very big lot size. Do you understand? Don't use a very big lot size. Use a very small lot size and take the ride. But if you want to just go in and come out, then use a very big lot size. All right. And with that in mind, you don't need to stay for a long time. I always keep saying that you don't need to stay for a long time in that case. All right. Okay. So another thing you should also consider is that when you're trading on agro-commodities, just of course, you don't need to start reducing it to 5 minutes time frame. Don't scalp on agro-commodities. There is no need of scalping on agro-commodities. Like when I said scalping, is that taking it to 5 minutes time frame and trying to use your support and resistance, and no, don't do that. Don't do that. You can just use your 1 hour, go in and come out immediately, and you don't need to start using your that. Okay, what determines buy or sell apart from the news? Okay, like I said, of course, you also have some fundamental parts, which are some technical parts, which we're going to be discussing later. So I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes. Okay. You said last class, you said if CPI comes out positive, agro-commodities is going to sell, but the reverse happened. All right. I wasn't actually the one that took the last class, but then this is actually, when you check the CPI, how many of the CPI results came out positive? Do you understand? How many of the CPI results came out positive? Maybe we'll take our time to actually go through that. But now, the reason why the person that took the class told you that is because US dollars, sorry, agro-commodities are quoted in US dollars. Like most of us feel that, okay, US news does not affect oil. But do you know that US news actually affect oil? Yes, they do. Have you taken note of that? They do. Why? Because oil is quoted in dollars. Agro-commodities is quoted in dollars. All right. So if dollar gains strength and then an instrument that is quoted in dollars, what do you think is going to happen to it? So it's definitely going to be having an effect in it, and it's most likely going to be a negative effect. Now look at when the prices of naira went up, skyrocketed. All right, that is the exchange rate skyrocketed. What happened? A lot of goods and services started going up. So that is exactly what the person is telling you. So it actually affects, it might not be a very high impact. It might not really affect it like it affects others, but take a look at it. Take note of it. It affects it. But like I said, it is not a very big effect. So that's what he was talking about. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. There are also news on agro-commodities. You thought, oh, wow, I'm going to show you that just in a few minutes. I'm going to show you that just in a few minutes. All right. So just hold on. I'm going to show you the news on agro-commodities. My number, please. Yes, I would try to send that after the meeting. What's a reasonable amount do you think one can use to trade on agro-commodities? Reasonable. Okay. When you say reasonable, it means that that's praise. Okay. All right. When you say reasonable, there are different amounts that are reasonable. So if you're actually looking out for something really reasonable, then let it be from 2 million naira and above. Do you understand? Let it be from 2 million naira and above. That is going to be reasonable enough. So that will be you being reasonable. Okay. All right. If you can get up to that, you would have a very perfect. Now, you don't really have anything to much to worry about. You can easily have a very good successful trading. But then if you have anything less than a million naira, I will advise you don't trade on agro. But if you have up to 2 million naira, you can comfortably trade on agro. But a million can actually trade it, but you need to be very careful too. All right, so that is amount that are reasonable. How do you track news on agro? We'll go to that. Which currency determines? Okay, I just mentioned that US dollars. Yes, agro commodities are quoted in US dollars. So I'm going to pause on the questions and then continue. Then when I'm done with the news part, because now you've seen the profitability. So I'm going to pause on the questions and then let's take a look at how do we now get the news. Then after that, we'll come back to the question. So the last question I'm going to be taking here is from Joseph Winner. Then after that, we're going to be pausing a while. Then we'll check out some few other things. Then we'll come back to the questions. So you have another question. You came in late. Which news should we? Oh, okay. I think I've already answered your question then. All right. Okay, said what is CPI? Well, don't forget I am new. If you're new, then I don't really think, okay, just listen first. This is not actually a CPI news. Okay. You know what? After this class, you can actually ask your account manager all those ones. I think they would, he or she will give you a better response because this is not actually the class for all that. This is basically for agricultural commodities. All right. Okay, so let's get to the next one. Let's just all right, but then the full meaning of CPI is just this in a consumer price index, but I cannot start explaining it to you. All right, I cannot start explaining it to you on in details. Okay, and then how it actually moves. I can't start explaining it to you. That's why I said it's best to meet your account manager and ask. But CPI is just consumer price index. Then we also have other news, NFP, PPI, and the rest of them. But if you want to check the full meaning, how it actually work, perfect. Ask your account manager; they will be able to help you out in that. All right, so let's get to the next thing. All right. Okay, so we've looked at the profitability index and also how this particular instrument, how much you can make. This is the profitability index. So now let's check what are the strategies. What strategies are we going to be using to trade on this particular instrument? Now, the strategies we're going to be using after the fundamentals is two basic ones: gap closure strategy or buy sell strategy, or then one pip to one lot strategy also. So these are the strategies we're going to be using for today: gap closure strategy, and of course, one pip to one lot strategy. Then that gap closure is also known as the buy sell strategy. So we're going to be looking at that in detail. But first, let's take a look at the news. All right, let's check the news in details and see what we've got from the news aspect. Okay, he said, what is the full meaning of PEEP? Okay, point in percentage. All right, that is a point in percentage. So does that help you? Trying to know the meaning of PEEP is like, okay, I probably feel it should have helped you also. All right, but then let's take a look at this. Now, let's go to the news. How do we research about agro-commodity? Now, I just logged into the website. Of course, that is the US Economic Research Services. Now, I want to check the different topics that they have here. And I want to check on crops. You have animal production, you have crops, you have the rest of them, lots of them. Now, I want to go to crops. Now, going to crops, we have, of course, you have different crops here. All right. Now, we have corn, you have cotton, you have lots of them. Okay, lots of them. All right. So let's just let's check this. Now, I want to just go to corn and other feeds. I want to go to corn. And okay, I think that should do the work. Now I have corn and other grains. All right, I have corn and other grains. All right, you can actually get several of the news coming out from this particular region just through this point. All right, now let's check what are the things that are currently. He said corn is the most widely produced feed grain in the United States. Of course, you know that United States is one of the biggest producers of corn also. All right. You have United States, you have Ukraine, you have Russia. You know, one of the reasons why this particular instrument had a massive volatility during the Ukraine-Russian war when it started newly is because those two particular countries, they contribute to almost 1/4 of the world grain production. So because of that, there was a massive hike in the prices. All right. So this is actually where we can get some of the news coming out from agro-commodities. Do you understand? All right. So this is it. We have a couple of news. Let me just take this and something is blocking my screen. Sorry. Okay. Now this is it. We have corn here. Okay. So these are some of the news that you could probably see. Corn nutrition section, 10 top ways of enjoying your corn, blah, 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 and all that, and all that, and all that. But this is not actually what we want for today. What we just need is the news that would actually give you the exact thing. So let's go to this particular page. That is farmprogress.com. All right. So you can check out farmprogress.com. When you get there, you click on crops, just like we did on that particular place. Just click on crops, then see corn here. Right click on corn. You'll be able to get something. Which other one do we need? We said wheat, right? Check where wheat. Okay, wheat is right here. Then I want to open it. Then soybean also is here. Then I've opened my soybean. So farmprogress.com will give you a detailed information also about this particular instrument. Now let's just check. We're just going to be reading the headlines. All right. Say the trade withdrawal creates uncertainty in the market. Okay. Trade withdrawal, it means that there are actually some countries that actually had it. He said corn market also vulnerable in Russia. Backs out of trade deals. How many of you heard about this news? Now, Russia actually had a lot of trade deals with a lot of European countries to supply them corn. But recently, they backed out from these particular trade deals. And this particular news came out just a few minutes ago. It came out today actually, July 25th. Do you see? So this is a current news. So what is this thing going to cause in the price of corn? Can someone tell me? When you say that trade withdrawal creates uncertainty in the market, I said corn market also vulnerable as Russia backs out of trade deal. Who is going to tell me the impact of this particular news on corn? Now, because this is actually how you're going to know what you're going to be doing. Who will tell me the impact of this kind of news? I just need 4 persons. Okay, I think the price will rise. Scarcity. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, somebody says sell. It's not sell, actually. Yes, it's not. Oh, it's one of my favorite students. I will not call your name, but everybody has already seen you. But still, you're my favorite student. One of my favorite students, actually. Let me not. Okay, so now, but the price will actually rise. The price will go up. Someone just said exactly the same thing that I said it wasn't. It's to not sell. Now, when there is this kind of uncertainty in the market, the prices will go up. Okay, for example, let's exactly buy. Perfect. Thank you very much. The corn will become more expensive. Just imagine if central if NNPC just come out today and tell you that we don't know how many barrels we're going to be producing every day now. Like we might be looking at maybe either reducing or, trust me, only that statement alone will make the price of petroleum to go up in Nigeria. So the same thing is happening here. When you say that there's going to be a trade withdrawal, they are going to back out in some of their trade deals. It means that they will not be supplying corn in some certain parts of the world. And that is going to cause a lot of scarcity. And because of that, price of corn will go up. Now check on your chart. Is corn buying today? All right. I don't know about how, of course, we're going to check if there was any news that actually came out yesterday that probably would have given strength to corn. But then for today, let's take a look at corn. What is corn doing for today? What is corn doing? Let's check corn. Let's check corn and see what corn is currently doing. Let me just go to the corn. Go to corn. Corn is selling. Somebody said corn is selling, but let's take a look at it. Okay, corn has actually been selling today, but recently it started having a buy this in push up. But yesterday, all through yesterday, corn bought. Do you understand? But early hours of today, it started selling, and currently, a few minutes ago, it bought a little bit on 1 hour time frame. Actually, please use 1 hour. Use H1. All right, use H1. All right, it bought like 2 hours and 1 hour ago. It actually bought, but now is it going to be continuing on a buy? But the question is, looking at the trend of this corn, what do you think is going to still be happening? I'm actually still looking out for a further buy. Yes, I'm still looking out for a further buy on this, but we've not entered that time yet. The time is not yet upon us. So we'll talk about that later. All right. So let's go back to our news. Now, looking at this, you will discover that definitely this particular news is going to be causing a lot of uncertainties in the market, and most likely is not going to be ending very, very well for this particular instrument. Now, you can always check it out and see the details about the news. All right. Now, it said that Ukraine is projected to be the fourth largest exporter. Now, Ukraine is actually the fourth largest exporter of corn this year. And according to Kim Anderson, there are a lot of factories and okay, so let's just check. Said which may be a big market factor following Russian withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative, but Ukraine also exports corn. In as much as Russia is saying that they are going to be backing out from this trade deal, but Ukraine also exports. But of course, Russia actually exports more than Ukraine. I think Ukraine is the fourth, but then Russia should be either the second or the third. Do you understand? So that is definitely going to cause some big thing. All right, so this actually, you can read through this news and find out details about what is actually going on, and that is going to give you a better sentiment on what is going to be happening. All right, so checking out the next one. Now, the news we're going to be looking at for and news that came out today. Remember that today is 25th, right? So we're only looking out for news that came out today. This is also July 25th. So you can just go ahead and open this one and check it out, what it's all about. All these news, actually, there are a lot of news that came out today that will be giving you details of what the market is going to be doing. Do you understand? All right, so this also, okay, said ask the plant breeders in the cornfield. All right, so what's going on here? What did they say? He said the pollen was falling and everything was getting yellowish cast inside the corn. Now, this is actually a little bit of a disadvantage to corn farmers. He said the pollen grain, of course, you know about the pollination processes, all right? And when you have the pollen grain falling out from Exactly. Somebody actually said something about if Russia is going to back out and then they are going to be blocking the export process through the Red Sea, it means that definitely there's not going to be much supply even from from Ukraine. Do you understand? Thank you for that. So if the pollen grain is falling out, how would pollination take place? And how would the corn really produce? Okay. But then these are some of the things that you can actually still read up. All right. These are things that we should read up also to find out the details about it. And wheat market is also here. Wheat market is also here. And all right, so this is let's check some of the news that came out from wheat. But I think we actually have more news in corn markets today than we have in wheat. So wheat is some of the news that we're having there is 19th. 19th. Okay, we have one on for today. We have stocks without ears don't add yield. This was from yesterday. It said that the importance of water for cattle. Oh, no, this is for cattle. Okay, these are just additional things to read. All right. And but for today, I'm not sure there is any major news on wheat apart from the one that we also read through this process. All right. In as much as which is basically from Russia. So the news that we've been seeing here are more of the Russian news and the rest of them. Okay. So that alone is going to be giving us a buy vibe. So for those of you that have enough money that you want to trade on agro-commodities comfortably with small lot size and then follow it, what direction should we be going to now? What direction? It means that for now, if you're a swing trader and you want to trade on corn or agro-commodities, you should be going in for a buy, right? But how are you going to be entering the buy? Exactly. How are you going to be entering the buy? Are you just going to jump into the market and then just put on a buy and then allow the market to just push, boom, and then go in your direction? You should also learn to exercise patience also. Now, because today, market actually fell. So what you can do for yourself is that it's either you set up a buy limit from here. You can decide to set up a buy limit here just in case if the market decides to sell more, all right? Or just set up a buy stop around here. So you can even do the two. You can set up a buy limit here and also a buy stop here. And where's your take profit going to be? All the way till this week resistance, because you know that the market is going to pass there. So you're going to be setting up a buy stop and a buy limit all at once. This is for people that do swing trading. And please, you must have enough money in your account. This is how you can analyze the news to be able to know, okay, this is the direction of the market. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. But I hope someone is following what I'm talking about. I hope someone is following me. Yeah, it's up now. But I hope someone is following me. Yeah, because I really want you to understand how to make analysis on agro-commodities and how you can make money on agro-commodities. Because it is not enough to say, okay, I'm just going to be trading on agro without really knowing how agro-commodity works. So that website, I'm just going to copy the website right now. And then, okay. So this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I just sent you the website. You can always visit that particular point. Okay, someone sent in something. Let me just take a brief second to read it. Okay, morning market review. Okay, corn, blah, blah, blah. Significant rain in the forex and upper Midwest. Okay, I will try to really get what you mean. If it is just in a further. Okay, from Farm Progress website. Okay. I get this. All right, thank you very much. That was exactly what we're saying. That with every single thing we're seeing here, maybe that's actually the reason. What you just posted right now, maybe that's actually the reason why we had a little bit of a fall in the price of corn and wheat this morning. All right, this morning. That's actually maybe the reason why we had a little bit of a fall in the prices of wheat and corn. But has it ended? But has the fall actually ended? The question is that the answer is actually yes, it has not ended. I'm still going to be expecting a further buy on corn and wheat. All right. And also, if you check, what was the result of the CPI news that came out? All right. I think the CPI news came out a little bit of is it okay? I'll check. We'll check that out. All right, we'll check that out later on. But let's just finish what we're doing. So I said this is actually what I'm going to do on my own end. That is, I'm going to be setting up a buy stop. This is for wheat. I'll be setting up a buy stop and a sell limit. Sorry, a buy stop and a buy limit, because I am looking out for a further buy on agro-commodities. But like I'm telling you, that the reason why you're going to do this is because you have enough money in your account. But if you don't, please, if you have anything less than ₦1 million in your account, don't do what I'm saying you should do. Don't do this particular part. Yes, please disagree with me. All right, don't do it. Okay, you know, there is a point that even all right, so even the what is it called? Sometimes some fathers will even tell you, okay, don't agree with me in this case. But that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. If you don't have up to ₦1 million, yes, please don't trade this particular part. Okay, don't trade this particular one. All right. So what I'm going to be doing is I will tell you what you should consider if you don't have up to that. Okay, so agro-commodities opens by 1:30. Sorry, it's open by 1:05 a.m. in the morning, and then it closes by 1:45. So by now, agro-commodities should have actually closed. If you check very well, I don't think it's moving. Yes, it is moving. It's not moving. It has closed already. So you cannot place any trade right now. Why? Because the market has closed. Do you understand? The market has closed. All right. The market has closed. Okay, so I just wanted to sort out something. Okay, so let's go ahead. So it's going to be opening by next opening is going to be 2:35 p.m. That's in the next 35 minutes. It's going to be opening. So of course we're going to still be together when it opens. All right, when it opens, we're still going to be together. Okay. Do we have any office in Warri? Yes, we have an office, but it is one of our clients that also runs the office. So, but of course, you can always visit the Warri office. Ask your account manager to send you the address. You can always visit there. All right, I think you can actually visit the office. Like I said, it is an extension office. It is not our main office. It's one of our clients that actually runs the office. But of course, we recognize that, of course, they can give you all the help, necessary help that you want. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Now, like I said, on this particular instrument, you can do this because we're going to be looking out for a further buy. Even on corn also, we're going to be looking out for a further buy on corn. Now, you can even zoom out and see this is where the trend actually started off from. This is where the trend started off from, and it's still continuing. All right. Now look at it. You had a massive up and then down, massive up and then down, then massive up again, and then a little down. So we're still going to be having more what? A massive up. Okay. So this is for those people that trade on yes, we're going to be doing live trading in a few minutes. We're going to be starting. All right. We're going to be starting live trading session in a few minutes. Okay. So this is how this runs. Right. So on wheat and corn, we're going to be looking out for a further buy. Right. And that is because of the fundamentals that we've had. So you always need to be checking the fundamentals to check when the news is going to be changing. But we didn't really take our time to really look at soybean. All right, we didn't really check soybean, but I know, of course, soybean also might also be taking the same turn. But let's see if we're going to have any news on soybean. Okay. Let's see if we're going to be having any requests on soybean. The last news we had on soybean was from yesterday. We had one yesterday. We also had, yeah, a couple of news yesterday, but we don't really have anyone for today. We don't have any news on soybean today, but take our time to check the news. All right, take our time to go through all the processes. You should be able to get exactly what you want. All right, so at least now you know where to get your news from, and now you know how this particular trade works. Remember, I said all these things contribute to the movement of the chart. All right, they contribute significantly. So you're not just going to be depending on or saying, okay, fine, once this thing happens, this is what I'm going to do. Before you can follow the trend, make sure you have enough money. But if you're going to be doing intraday trading, now let's talk about the gap closures on gap closure strategy briefly before we go into the live trading. So this is part of the live trading now. Then after this, we'll now go to other instruments. All right. Now, anytime apart from you following the trends, there is something that you should know that actually happens in the industry. Okay. When I said in the industry, I'm talking about in the agro-commodities industry. Now, there is always gaps. There is always gaps. Now, gap actually means that there's going to be a different opening point from where the market actually closed. All right. For example, now market closed at 101. All right. Maybe by 145, market closed at price 101. But then when it's opening, you discover that instead of it to open from that 101 again, it will now open from 1010 or 107, or it will even go down to, let's say, 95. You see, or you discover that there's a price gap between when the market closed and when the market opened. Do you understand? So with that in mind, you can actually say that, okay, this is actually what we're looking out for. So that particular gap, how do we take advantage of it after the gap? But remember that what we're taking advantage of is not before the gap. It is after the gap. Don't try to say, okay, let me enter a trade first and then predict the direction of the gap. No, don't do that. That is suicide. You can do it, but then before you be able to get to that level, trust me, you'd have crossed through 7 rivers and 7 stars. All right. But then I'm not saying it's not possible. But the one I want you to do is that after the gap, what happens? Because if you want to be taking advantage of the gap before the gap, what if the gap now goes against you? Trust me, you will be in a very big trouble. So to avoid that, how will you not take advantage of it after the gap? So what we do is that after that gap, there is what we call gap closure. Now, immediately the gap happens. All right. Once the market opens with that gap, which is by 235, let's say it was a gap up. All right. There is going to be a further push up from that place the gap happened. Okay, let's say you had a gap up. There is going to be a further push up. So there's going to be a further buy. So once you see the gap and it was a gap up, you can actually follow the buy briefly and take your profit. So there's going to be a further push up. There is going to be a further push up after the gap. But then after the push up, you're going to have what we call a closure. Now check. This is wheat. This is wheat. Let's look at it closely. Look at if you're not careful, you will not notice some places that actually had a gap. Right? Apart from on few occasions where they never closed. But in most cases, especially for the afternoon gap, you always have a closure. If you're not careful, of course, this one was repricing. This is not a gap. It's a swap. It's repricing, rollover. Do you understand? All right. Let's also check our corn. Let's check our corn. If you're not careful, you will not see where those gaps happened, especially for afternoon. I'm looking at afternoon, which is somewhere around here. There was a gap, but it closed it. Here, there was a gap. Here, there was a gap. Here, there was, even yesterday, there was a gap yesterday. But then it has closed every single thing. Why? Because of the gap closure. Do you understand? It always have this gap closure, mostly for afternoon. Now, let's take a look at wheat. All right. Okay, yesterday wheat had a gap up and we actually bought. If you were in the class yesterday, when I said, okay, fine, wheat had a gap up, it's going to buy. But then it wasn't able to, it closed off the gap, but of course, nothing that much. But even if you had taken up the trade, even if you had sold somewhere around here, with this, between here and here, let's check sorry, let me just turn off something. Perfect. Between this point, where the gap actually got happened to this point where the market actually closed, this is about 56 pips. That is how much it can be. And the spread here, even if the spread is about 5 pips, at least you should have been able to cover it up, and you'll still be able to make your profit. So from here to this point would have made you something really, really good on 0.01 alone on corn. Okay, so you have this gap closure and a further push up. So like I said, any of them that I want to take advantage of, it's just that sometimes you just need to be very much patient. But I personally, the one I use is the push up. So immediately after the gap, the direction of the gap is what the direction I'm going to be going for. So if the gap is going to be a gap up, I am entering an instant buy and I'm taking my profits. If it is a gap down, I'm taking up a sell and I'm taking my profits. Remember, I am not staying long in the trade. So if I now want to follow up the gap closure, I can now enter a buy again if it is a gap down. Do you understand? So like I said, if you have a gap down, you're going to see a further sell first. Oh, Mr. Paul, you're welcome, but you didn't attend the agro-commodity class. All right. So if there is a gap down, I am entering a sell first, make my profit, then I can now follow the buy for the gap closure. But if it is a gap up, I will enter a buy first, take my profit, then I will now follow the sell for the gap closure. So that is how it works. So do anybody understand what I said? Do you understand the strategy? Do you understand it? So what we're going to do is that we'll take our time to really go through them after this particular class. When the gap finally happens, we're going to take our time to go through it to see, oh, okay, this is actually what we're talking about. And of course, we should be able to make, hopefully we'll be able to make some good profit from that. But this is actually how the gap closure happens. That is how it happens. All right, so let's kindly take a look at the afternoon section and then see what the gap thing. Somebody's saying the gap thing. Okay, what about the gap thing? All right, so let's kindly just take a look at our US session and see. Okay, kindly repeat the gap thing. Kindly repeat. I said for the gap closure, if you have a gap up, there are two things that is going to happen in the market. All right. If you have a gap up, there are two things that will happen in the market. Number one is that the market is going to have a further push up. It's going to have a further push up. All right. Then after the push up, then you're going to be having a gap closure. It's just like when someone push you, all right, you first of all run forward. Then before you probably run back and then come and, you understand, finish off the person that pushed you. So that same thing, exactly what I'm talking about. So when the market has a gap up, the market will first of all have a further push up, then come back to fill up the gap. So I said you can either take the push up, which is going to happen after the gap up, or you can decide to wait. Once the push up happens, you can take up the gap closure. But I said the one I prefer to do is the initial push up. Once I see the gap, I follow up the buy immediately. So if it is a gap up, I'll be entering a buy. But if it's a gap down, I'll be going into an instant sell. And every single thing is instant. Okay. Show us the gap on your chart. Well, when the market opens, you will see the gap. So let's quickly go to the US session. All right, so let's quickly go to the US session. Let's take a look at dollar index and see. All right, so for a while now, of course, you already know that we've been having a consistent increase in the prices of US dollars. All right, we've been having a consistent increase in the value of the US dollars. All right, and my analysis actually said it was going to get to this point, and good enough, it has gotten to this point, and then it's currently going above it. So what is your take? What is your take on on dollar index? Do you think it's going to go up, further up, or do you think it's going to go right back down? Do you think it's going to go up, or is it going to come back right down? But I'm actually looking at this particular instrument to have a higher high to get up to that extent. So for today, I'll be going in for a further buy on dollar index. So going in for 5 minutes time frame, you would definitely know that this particular instrument oh, it has even bought so much. All right. So the probability of it stopping here is going to be high. But of course, I'm still looking at for a further buy actually. So I'm looking at this instrument to even buy higher. All right. And most likely it's going to be getting to this point. Now, all these resistance points you're seeing here, they're mostly turncoat resistance. All right. When I say turncoat resistance, they are support regions that have been turned into a resistance. All right. Previously. All right. But then I'm expecting this particular instrument to make a little bit of a higher high for today. So on dollar index today, I'm looking out for a further buy. I'm looking out for a further buy on dollar index. So if you're a trader of this instrument, you can go ahead with a buy. You can go ahead with your instant buy. And then we're taking our profit on the next resistance level, which is at price 101.422. 101.422. All right. Even if you have a little bit of a retracement, you don't need to bother yourself. We're going to be looking out for a further buy. So for USD IDX for today, we are looking out for a further buy on it. We're looking out for a further buy on it. So you can go ahead with a buy on this particular instrument. Okay, so going down, okay, even it's already beginning to affect the Euro USD. And I remember that some time back, I told you that Euro USD is going to be having a further push down, all right, because of what has actually been happening to it. And you know that Euro is only the instrument that last week, all the news from the Euro all came out negative. All right. I think even yesterday, we had a couple of news that actually came out from the Eurozone, and every single one of them, I think they were all negative also. So let's take a look at, all the news that came out from the Eurozone yesterday, all of them came out negative. So that is definitely not a very good sentiment. You see their flash service PMI negative, their flash manufacturing PMI negative, then the German flash manufacturing PMI negative, the German flash service PMI negative. Every single flash that came out yesterday, all of them were negative for the Eurozone. So that is actually all right. Even setting up a very good bad signal for the Eurozone. So I'm looking out for a further sell on Euro, and I'm looking at it to sell down to this verified support right here. So for the Euro for today, we're going to be taking on for a further sell. Yeah, we're going to be going in for a further sell on Euro USD for today. So for today, we can go ahead with a sell on Euro, and then our take profit is going to be at price 1.10126. 1.10126. That is where our take profit is going to be for this particular instrument. So our take profit for the Euro, that is for Euro USD, is going to be at price 1.10126. That's my take profit point. All right, so quickly going into the next one, which is USD JPY. Because you know that USD JPY is actually one of my favorite instruments, and that is actually because of the volatilities of this particular instrument over the period. And currently, this instrument is actually sitting on a verified resistance and a weak support. It is resting on a verified resistance and a weak support. Okay, all right. And with that, if you're an intraday trader, you have to hold on for this price to break above this part or this part. You have to hold on for it to break above here or break below this particular region. So that being said, if you want to take up any position on this, you have to hold on a little bit for it or to take up a trade. But then looking at it on 1 hour time or 5 minutes time frame, you will actually see that you have a greater opportunity to buy in this instrument than selling it. All right, you have a greater opportunity to buying it than selling it. Take a look at it on 1 eye again. You discover that, okay, this particular trade definitely would want to push up a little bit more because it's bouncing off from this weak support, knowing that it's been doing from here down here and then going back up. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll be supporting for further buy on this instrument. So for today, let's take a great deal on a buy for this instrument, that is for USJPY. So for USJPY, I'm going to be buying it, and my take profit for the buy for USJPY is going to be price 141.623. Remember at the beginning of the period, I told you that this instrument is headed back to price 144, right? I told you it's headed back to 144. So for those people that are actually swing traders, this is a good opportunity for you to enter a trade and make some profit. All right. If you're taking up any trade, any long trade, you can use a very small lot size, enter the trade, and then just allow it. Set your take profit maybe at price 144.00. All right, but because it's definitely going to get that. And a lot of persons are already doing that. And but please, if you don't have enough money, don't do that. And if you're doing it, please use a mini lot size or even a micro lot size. Please, micro lot size are actually meant to say. Okay. All right. So okay, so with that in mind, USJPY is going to be taken in for a further buy on this. Okay, so great. Going in for the next one, GBP USD. On this particular instrument, because of course the strength I'm going to be expecting dollar to gain, I told you that I will be looking out for a further buy on dollar index. All right, don't mind what is currently going on, but with that in mind, if dollar index is going to gain more strength, it means that GBP USD should actually gain more strength, right? Sorry, GBP USD should actually sell, right? Yes, that is actually what I'm looking at for. So I'm looking at for a further sell on this. I know that it's bouncing off from this particular resistance, but I'm expecting it to get to this verified support. I'm expecting this instrument to break below this particular weak resistance and get to this verified support. So my take profits for the sell, it means that I'm going in for a sell on GBP USD, right? Yeah, I'm going in for a sell. And my take profit for the sell is going to be at price 1.28098. 1.28098. For GBP USD, we're taking in a buy. Sorry, a sell, pardon me. We're taking in a sell for GBP USD. All right, we're taking in a sell for GBP USD, and our take profit for this trade is going to be at price 1.28098. 1.28098. So that is our take profit for GBP USD this afternoon. And like I said, I'm looking at for a further sell, right? Yeah, I'm looking at for a further sell for the GBP USD. Okay, so someone said oil, that is a Zoom user. Okay, we're not analyze oil because we're only looking at for US instruments. All right, because that is the opening session for the US. Okay, and mostly the opening session is when we're going to be looking at for a trade on that particular instrument. Okay. Said audio, can everybody hear me? I think it's from your end. Kindly do well to increase your volume more. So for USD CAD, yes, I'll be going in for a buy on USD CAD. I'll be going in for a further buy on USD CAD. I'll be going in for a further buy. Now, if I'm going to be buying USD CAD, remember this is even on 1 hour time frame. So even 1 hour time frame, you have a better opportunity to enter a buy on this particular instrument. But taking a look at it from the 5 minutes time frame, you also see that, of course, you have it just broke above this particular tone coach resistance. It broke above this particular tone coach resistance. So we're looking at for a further buy on it. And our take profit can actually be at price 1.32192. 1.32192. So that's actually where I'm expecting the take profit, the trade to get to. All right. I'm expecting the trade to get to price 1.32192. 1.32192. Like I said, it already broke above this particular resistance zone. So with that in mind, I'll be going in for a further buy. And I already told you that the probability of dollar index getting strength this afternoon is going to be higher. All right. So that's actually what I'm going to be considering for today. All right. That's what I'm going to be considering for today. A further buy on this particular instrument. Okay, so let's just take one more commodity currency pair, and then we'll take a look at the indices and of course the. Okay, so for AUD USD yesterday, I remember I told you that for AUD USD we're also going to be going in for a further sell, and good enough, it gave us some good profit from the sell yesterday. But then for today, what are we expecting? Now you know that AUD is an instrument that actually works in consonant with gold. All right. It actually works hand in hand with gold. All right. So anytime gold is gaining massive strength, you'll find out that Australian economy most likely is going to be gaining strength also. That's because of the period that both of them actually of course, Australia is one of those countries that actually have a very large reserve for gold. All right. So that being said, AUD USD, I'll be going in for currently is also sitting on a support on 1 hour time frame. All right. And of course, you know, I'm a very big preacher of support and resistance because they are like the invisible hand in the market. So with that in mind, I will not just be jumping into a sell on it, even though I'll be going in for a sell. Even though I'll be going in for a sell, but I will not want to just jump into a sell on this particular instrument. I will prefer it to break below. Oh, it has already broken below it on 5 minutes time frame, but still, I would just still want to hold on a little bit. So my entry position for this particular instrument is going to be at price 0.67506. 0.67506. That's where my entry position on this particular instrument is going to be. And I'll be taking my profit all the way down to price 0.67395. 0.67395. So my entry position first is going to be at price 0.67506. 0.67506. And my take profit is going to be at price 0.67395. Okay, so let's take a look at other instruments. Starting up with US 2000. Let's just start with US 2000. US 2000 has also been doing the most. Okay, let me just remove all these lines because they've served their purpose. All right. Now, if you check yesterday, it actually started up on a sell direction. All right. It sold from here, then made a lower low here, and also made a lower low here. All right. So we've been having this particular trend. So we've had about 3 lower lows. This is it. This is what I'm talking about. When I said lower low, this is actually what I mean. All right. So it means that this particular instrument, you might be having a very difficult moment at the price where at the point where the price is. All right. It is sitting on a verified support and there is a verified resistance up ahead. Okay. So what it's going to be doing is it will try to break above any of these regions. So if it is able to break above the resistance, then we're going to be having a massive buy. But if it breaks below the support, then it's going to be headed all the way down. Okay. So that being said, I want us to go to 5 minutes time frame and see those directions. All right, so this is it. This is it. Now, I am actually looking out for this particular instrument actually getting to that particular region. And I'm expecting it to still sell more to this point before buying. Do you understand? Does it mean I don't expect it to buy? Of course, I want it to buy. I expect it to buy actually. In fact, my direction is going to be more of a buy. But for now, we're going to be selling US 2000 and our take profit is going to be at price 1966.8 because I expect it to sell to this point. On 5 minutes time frame, it has already broken below this particular price level. All right. So I'm expecting it to get to this proven support, test the proven support, all right, and then bounce off from that point, headed back to my trend line at this point. So this is what we're going to be doing on US 2000. You can sell US 2000, take your profits at price 1966.8, then buy from that 1966.8, and then take your profit all the way to 1978.1. So for now, we're going to be selling US 2000. Then after selling US 2000, we'll buy US 2000. I don't know if that actually makes any sense. So for the beginning, we're selling US 2000. You can sell your US 1000 and then take your profit at price 1960.8. Then from that 1960.8, you buy again, take your profit at price 1978.1. Okay, so that is that for US 2000. But then let's also look at US 100. Sorry about that. Let's also look at US 100. If you check US 100 over the period, you can actually envisage that this particular instrument is already also making a little bit of a lower low. All right, it's been having after the massive buy it's been having, I think it's been making a lower low. So for this afternoon, US 100, I said US 100, sorry. Yeah, US 100, I'll be going in for a sell on both on 1 hour time frame and on 5 minutes time frame. So I'll be going in for a sell on US 100. Yes, I'll be going in for a sell on US 100. I'll be going in for a further sell on US 100, right? So for US 100 this afternoon, I'll be going in for a further sell. I know it's currently trying to push up, but then I'll be going in for a further sell. All right. I would not buy this particular instrument. I'll be going in for a further sell on US 100. Okay. So let's quickly look at gold before the time is faster gone. Let's take a look at gold. Okay, so gold actually bounced off from this particular verified resistance, right? It's also been making a lower low. So the only instrument that has been making higher highs is US30. All right, it's only US30 that has been making a higher high. And of course, you can actually tell from how the direction is been going. Yes, every single thing I'm saying, all of them are actually on instant sell. Do you understand? I'm actually looking out for instant sell on every single one of them. All right, so that being said, I'm looking out for, look at this particular instrument. This is gold. Gold also, I'm looking out for a sell on gold. I'm looking out for a further sell on gold. And my take profit for the sell is going to be just at below this point at price 1955.05, 1955.05. That's my take profit for this particular instrument. That is gold. All right. So my take profit for gold is going to be at 1955.05, 1955.05. So that is just directly below where, not too far from the price, but at least if before price gets to that point, we would have made some really good amounts of money for profit. So for gold, I'm actually entering a sell on gold. I'm looking at for a sell on gold. Yeah, I'm looking out for a sell on gold. Okay, so then finally, let's take a look at US30. All right, US30, if you remember our analysis on US30, now do you remember that yesterday's analysis where we said, okay, fine, this is what we're going to be expecting, and before you know it, we're going to be having a further push up. And the same thing that is happening today also happened yesterday. After the consolidation, we're going to be having a push up. So today also for US30, I'll be going in for a further buy also, like on a general. I'll be going in for a buy on US30 because it has already gotten to this region. So I'm looking out for a buy on US30. Yes, funny enough, you probably will be asking, so how come every other indices will buy, but then US30 every other indices will sell and US30 will buy. But then I don't expect US30 to actually have a massive sell. So even if you want to sell US30, please don't stay long on the trade. But I am personally looking out for a further buy on US30. All right. So for US30, I am buying my US30. All right. I am buying US30. All right. All right. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Okay. So, but then if US 2000 is going to be pushing up, then US30 is going to certainly going to sell because all of them are going to be going in opposite direction. All the instruments are going to be going in opposite direction. All right, like I said, US 2000, US 100 will be going in the same direction, but US30 will be going in opposite direction for them. US30, US 100 will be going in opposite or in one direction, but US30 is going to be going in opposite direction from these other instruments. All right, so US30 is going to be a buy, like I said. US30 is going to be a buy, but US 2000, I don't see it having a massive buy. US 100, I don't see it having a massive buy. So I'm going to be going in for a buy on US 30 rather. All right, I'll be going in for a buy on US30, but I'll be going in for an opposite direction on the other trade. Okay, I will not be able to review DE30. Of course, you already know the reason why I will not be able to review DE30. Okay. All right, so just relax and hold on your trade. You're going to be having a very good outcome going forward. Okay, so looking out for the next phase, which is the agro-commodities, which you just finished talking about. So now somebody asked how I should show you the gap on my chart. And of course, the gap is going to come. Once is, I already told you the opening time, right? Once is 235 rather, you're going to be seeing the gap. 235, you're going to be seeing the gap. All right. So the gap actually happens but now it is not every day. There are some days that the gap does not happen. But the question is that, the thing is that the day the gap happens are more than the days the gap don't happen. So it means that you're going to be having more of a buy, more of a gap on all the instruments than sell. Do you understand? You're going to be having more of a gap on the instruments than the days you don't have it. So let's just watch out and see when the gap happens. We've already discussed how you can trade on agro-commodities and the rest of them. And at the end of the day, we should be able to make some really good profit out of the trade. Okay. All right. So let's just be looking through the chart before we finally start up the. Please US 30 is still going to buy more. And I forgot to mention, there is a fundamental that is coming out by 3 p.m. today. There's a fundamental that is coming out by 3 p.m. today. But I told you that US 30 is going to be going in for a further buy. And US 2000 and US 100 is actually pushing up. That's why you're not seeing a very massive buy on US 30. You probably will be wondering, how come US 30 and US 2000 are, US 100 and US 2000 are going in one direction, but US 30 is struggling to meet up? For the period, you could say that this particular instrument have not really been as friendly as we thought. They have not been as friendly as they thought. But then US 1000 is not going to push very much high from that region. Okay, yeah, sorry, Miss. Okay, let me not add any prefix to it. Celestine, I think I got your message, no problem. I'll forward it to you after this. Are we going to be giving a hint for agro-commodities when the market opens? Yes, we're going to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at them and see what we're expecting. Just in the next 2 minutes, they're going to be opening, so you still have some time to relax and chill. Okay, so agro-commodities were just almost here. Now, for the corn, like I said, depending on the direction of the gap, that is the direction of the market we're going to be going for. But I already told you that I'll be going in for a further buy, right? I already told you I'll be going in for a further buy, but then still, let's just hold on for the gap to open. And I said, if you're a swing trader, means that you can actually leave a trade for a longer time to run. You can just go in for a buy and then allow it to run and take your profits at the next verified at the next week resistance on both the corn, the wheat, and the soya bean. But if not, you're going to be having more of that direction. Okay, you're going to be having more of a buy. Okay, so let's just take a look at it. In the next just few seconds, you're going to be seeing that. You're going to be seeing that. Okay, perfect. Oh, for wheat, we had a gap down. For corn, we had a gap up. And then for soybean, we had a gap up. So I'm going in for a further buy, actually. On soybean, I'm going in for a buy. On corn, I'm going in for a buy because you had a gap up on corn and on soybean. But on wheat, we had a gap down. All right. Remember what I told you on wheat? You can, if you want to set up a trade, set up your trade to this point. But on wheat, I'll be going in for a buy. No doubt. I'll be going in for a buy. All right. I would not want to enter a sell on wheat. But if you're entering a sell on wheat, please take your profit at this point because it's most likely going to get there. All right. But on corn and soybean, I'll be going for a buy on both of them. But generally, I'll be going for a sell on all a buy on all the instruments. So for wheat, you can go in for a buy. For corn, you can go in for a buy. And for soybean, you can go in for a buy. Do well not to stay long in the market. So you can go ahead with your buy on the instruments. A buy on wheat, a buy on corn, and a buy on soybean. All right, a buy on wheat, a buy on corn, and a buy on soybean. Okay, so that is that for the agro-commodities. I'll be going in for a buy on them. I'll be going for a buy on them. Okay, so if you're on a trade on all the indices, you can hold on a little bit on the indices. They are definitely going to be reversing. Okay, US 2000 actually broke above this point. All right, so now what you're going to do is that if you're still on a trade on US 2000, just follow up the buy just briefly. You can enter the buy briefly. All right, but then looking at it on 1 hour time frame, you could see that it's actually rested on a proven resistance. There is a resistance right there, but it's not so much visible. But I will just tell you, enter an instant buy, take advantage of the buy that is going on so that you could actually make some profit from that. So let's take a look at US 100. US 100, I would not advise a buy on US 100. But US 30, yes, I will actually go in for a further buy on US 30. All right. US 100, I will not be going in for a buy because of this. But US 2000, yes, you can actually go ahead with a buy. But please don't stay long. All right. The best thing you can do for yourself on all the instruments, especially the indices, US 30 and US 2000, US 100 and US 2000 is a sell. But for this particular period on US 2000, you can just take up a little bit of a buy and follow the sell all the way back. Like I said, I would not advise a buy on US 2000, especially for a very long one. I would not advise a buy. All right. So I said for gold, for corn, I'm going to be buying corn, I'm going to be buying wheat, and I'm going to be buying my soya bean. All right. Especially for those people that actually have some good amount of money in your accounts, don't use a very big lot size. But then if you have good amount of money and you just want to go in there and then come out immediately, of course, you can actually do that. All right. I think I need to take a little bit of a break and then take some water. And okay, someone asked, what about the dollar index? Let's take a look at dollar index. Dollar index is actually, like I said, dollar index is going to be pushing up to this extent, and then it's going to be falling. All right, and all right, so I think we actually entered a further buy on the dollar index, and it's going to get into this point, but it's having a little bit of a retracement. So that is going to be affecting a little bit of how gold is going to react. But I personally, I will tell you, if you're on any trade, you can just hold a little bit on it. But if you can't hold on, you can actually take out those trades, especially on US 2000. Like I said, take up a little bit of further buy and then just make some profit, but then don't stay long. On US 100 also, please, I hope you didn't just rush into the buy. But US 30, yes, you can still buy US 30. Like I said, you can still buy US 30. But for US 2000, just a little buy and then exit the trade, because I'm looking out for a further sell on all of them. Every single buy that you had here is going to be covered just within minutes. Every single thing is going to be covered. All right. So you can actually decide to follow that or just hold on for the reversal to take place, because it's going to be reversing pretty soon. Okay, and for dollar index is still going to push up. The dollar index is still going to push up. So with that, then means that gold is going to be selling. Okay, so I think I'm going to call it a day. Most of the questions I'm getting here, okay, Mr. Paul, I'm just going to react that GBP USD because it's you. All right, so let's just take a look at GBP USD and see what we've got on GBP USD. On 5 minutes time frame, we said that GBP USD is going to actually GBP is already said it's going to sell to this point and then buy all the way back up, right? Was that what we said? All right, but then GBP USD is heading all the way up to that point. I think that was actually what we discussed. Or a sell, okay, no, we actually mentioned a sell from here to this point, and it almost got to the take profit. So I think you should have actually made some good profit on GBP USD before even the reversal, because we said it was going to sell from this point all the way down, and it almost got to the take profit point. So I know it didn't get to the take profit, but it is still going to sell for that down. All right. Okay, so that is what we're going to be calling it a day for today. Tomorrow is going to be by 2 p.m., no longer 1 p.m. Remember that today that is 1 p.m. was strictly because we had a training from 1, all right? And then we'll now merge it up with this one. But then tomorrow is going to be the normal time, 2 p.m. all the way till 2:35 p.m. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. It was actually a nice time having you. Yeah, we also discussed on GBP, USD JPY rather. All right. And I said US 30, I'm still going to be having a little bit of a buy on US 30. Yes, I'll still be buying my US 30. I'll still be buying my US 30. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today. See you tomorrow, 2 p.m. tomorrow, all through to 2:35 p.m. tomorrow also. And after that, tomorrow, we're going to be having also another interesting class on Thursday, but that is going to be taken by one of my colleagues, and he's going to be teaching you on the indices mastery. That's on Thursday. See you tomorrow, same time, same link. Have a lovely evening.